Welcome to our deep dive into Douce Ambiance, a fantastic gypsy jazz piece written by Django Reinhardt. We're going to learn the basic chords, we're going to learn how to embellish those chords with walking bass lines and inversions, and then we'll learn the melody as well. As always, lesson materials are available to download at the link in the description. You have two options. You've got Patreon for a monthly fee. You can access all the lesson materials for all videos, past, present, and future. Or you can buy just a single lesson through the Gumroad store. Either way, it's a massive support for my channel and really helps me to carry on doing what I do. So we're in the key of G minor. We're going to start on the 1 and make it a minor 6, which is typical of the gypsy style. Rather than a plain minor bar chord, for example, we're putting the 6th in there on the D string 2nd fret. The basic changes would have us stay on that chord for a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, then D7. Which is the 5 chord, so we're going from the 1 to the 5, a bar of each. So as is typical in a lot of jazz and western swing music, we're going to move around these chords a little bit. Rather than staying on the G minor 6 for a whole bar, we're going to split that bar in half between the original voicing for 2 beats, and then a first inversion G minor triad. These spread triads are things I went into a lot of depth on with a previous lesson, maybe one of the first lessons I uploaded. I'll put the link to that up here if you want to check that out. So we've got G minor 6, G minor triad, 2 beats of each. Also worth noting that this G minor triad is also a B flat major 6. It's useful to spot that. Okay, then we're going to play D7, but with the 5th in the bass to begin with, before moving up to the root. So really we're getting double the amount of options per chord. G minor 6 has become this. D7 has become this. Then we go back to our G minor 6. Then we play F7. I've gone for an F9 voicing. And then B flat 6, where we're going to put in the B string. So this is, again, that voicing we just used as a G minor triad is now actually a B flat 6. And then we're going to go to a B diminished 7th. So now you've got all of this. Getting a lot of nice movement in there. This connects us to the 4 chord, the C minor, where again we're going to go for a C minor 6. Just like with the G minor, we're not going to just stay on here for 4 beats, although we could, but we're going to use an inversion to create a bit more bass movement. We're going to go C minor 6 with the root in the bass, and then C minor 6 with the 6 in the bass, which again, notice how that's also A minor 7 flat 5. Just they're inversions of one another. And then back to G minor 6, where we are going to stay there for a whole bar. Then we have a really nice turnaround, a typical Djangoism this. Usually we'd be going to the 5, D7, but he goes to the tritone substitution of that, which is A flat 7. Again, I do have a thorough lesson on tritone substitution, which hopefully will be appearing up there if you want to go and check that out. So we've got A flat 7 for 2 beats, then the D7 for 2 beats. And that's the first A section done. As is typical in jazz, all the sections are going to be 8 bar lengths. Okay, so now we have all of this. Okay, then we go around everything again, basically the same until those last couple of bars. Then instead of the tritone sub of the 5, we do E flat 7. In this case, I've gone for a 9th again, a dominant 9, to a D9, back to a G minor 6. So that second ending would be. So here are the first 2 A sections back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couple of little things in there that are probably worth mentioning. On the second A section, when we got to the B flat 6, instead of playing B flat 6 like that, I went for the typical Gypsy voicing of a B flat 6/9. We covered this voicing in the previous lesson on Billy's Bounce. This is a great voicing. Can be a little tricky to get used to, but it's well worth learning. I would always start this by building it off the second finger, barring the A and D strings with the tip of the finger at the 8th fret. Aim for the wood in between the strings and you'll get them. First finger at 7 on the G, third finger barring the top 2 strings at the 8th fret, and then if you can, try and hook your thumb over to grab the root note. Beautiful chord, B flat 6/9. Sounds immediately like that early gypsy jazz stuff that we all love so much. Okay, then into the B section, the simplest part of the song. We move up a semitone to the key of A flat minor. And again, instead of playing a plain minor bar chord, we're going to go for a minor 6th. And we're going to hunker down on that for 4 bars. Make sure you really drive home that rhythm style. Get right in the pocket with it. Give it that driving, pulsing feel. And remember that in the world of gypsy jazz, they actually call this style la pompe. The pump. It has to pump the rhythm. I might actually do an entire Patreon lesson on that rhythm style because it's a lot harder than people think to get those nuances. There's some real subtlety about it. But as a quick primer, I would say to start with nothing but downstrokes and learn how to really make the rhythm pulsate. And then start to bring in upstrokes every now and then on the and of 2 and the and of 4. I'd recommend not always putting the upstrokes in there by default. Sometimes it's nice to just lay out and hit those quarter notes really hard. Again, more authentic to the original stylings. Okay, so back to the B section. 4 bars on A flat minor 6, and then we simply move up a semitone to A minor 6. Again, instead of playing A minor, we're going for the minor 6th, typical of the gypsy style. And we're doing 2 bars there. So now you've got... And then we do these stops, where we're just going to take an F9 and move it down a semitone. Move it down a semitone again. Move it down a whole tone. Resolve it to the 5, D7, or D9 in this case. We're back to our home key of G minor now. Timing there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole B section. Then we're back to another A section. Where we take the second ending. That would be the end of the form, and then we can go back to the top and do everything again. As is often the case with the jazz stuff, A, B, A is the form. Make sure you don't miss out that final A or confuse it with the first A. Seems a lot of people tend to make that same mistake, but you have to maintain the structure of A, B, A. In the world of jazz, that's what you'd call one chorus. So let's do one chorus, just to show you what I mean. So this is A, B, A. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. First A section. Second A section. B section. Third A section, which is the same as the second one. And then it's up to you if you want to go around another chorus, which you likely would. If you were playing this with other people, you'd probably go around the whole thing maybe 6 times. You go straight back to the top, go through everything again, over and over. Or, of course, you could just finish there and put an ending on it. So before we get onto endings and the intro as well, which are very similar, Let's get into some cool little riffs you can chuck in here and there. A lot of it's just about alternating the bass to whatever you can grab in that position. So let's have a think about the A section. Okay, here on the A flat 7, alternate the bass between the root and the 5th, and then D7, one strike, and then a rundown on the G minor blues scale in octave form. So here's the entire first A section with that little riff thrown in. Second A section. Okay, so that's the main form of the song. That's what we call the chorus. Now let's go back to the start and chuck an intro on it. There's a lot of cool ways to play this. The way that I've gone with is to start on a D chord with F sharp in the bass, and then a G minor. Both those chords, I'm killing the A string, by the way, and raking through, and then repeating the pick strokes on the B string to bring the melody out. Try and use a rest stroke technique on that top note. Then E7. Then F6. This is a nice voicing. There you've got the root, the 5th, mute the D string, major 3rd, 6th. Very little movement required to get to the next chord, the B flat major 7. E flat major 7. A minor 11 to a D7, where again you could throw in that little blues run and then begin your first chorus. So at full speed that would sound something like this. For the outro, we're going to recycle the majority of that. But then we're going to put this rundown. Very common minor key Gypsy ending. We can play it in octaves. It's really just kind of blues scaly again. Only that it includes the major 3rd as a passing note. And then we bounce between the root and the 5th to finish. You could do it a kind of lazy way. Probably the way I would do it, to be honest, at full speed, if you're playing it live or something. Once you get to the A, just play the open A instead of the octave. Doesn't even matter if you play it particularly cleanly. I think I've basically scuffed the note there with an upstroke. Kind of just implied. Again, if you'd like to get your hands on the lesson materials for this, do go to those links in the description. The lesson materials include sheet music typed up in Guitar Pro and PDF formats, also a backing track to play along with, and a reference recording of my original play along. You can go to Patreon to get unlimited access to all of my lesson materials, or you can make a one-off purchase at the Gumroad link. Totally up to you. Either way, I massively appreciate the support. It really helps me to keep this channel growing and means I can dedicate more time to making better content. So next week we're going to learn the melody for this, as well as some of the key phrases from Django's fantastic solo on it. So get the chords under your fingers, have fun with it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.